Hey friends, welcome back to the Handyman Journey. My name is Alan Lee, your host, and on this channel we are all about starting up a new handyman business or taking your handyman business to the next level. Today we're going to be talking about how to quit your day job and go full-time as a handyman. So let's jump into it.
Starting a handyman business can be confusing. HandymanJourney.com takes you step by step through the process, teaching you how to create a successful business plan, establish your pricing for profit, and how to market to your ideal customers. HandymanJourney.com is a business tool that has been used by handymen all over the world to gain the knowledge necessary to start a profitable handyman business. Click the link below to start your own journey today and get plugged into the training over at HandymanJourney.com.
So one of the scariest things in my life has been taking the transition from full-time employment to full-time self-employment. And you are obviously considering the same exact jump, and it's probably fairly nerve-wracking. So there's a few things you're going to think about before you dive into it. Number one, I would recommend that you do some really good market research to make sure that your area is conclusive of a handyman business. So if your area can't sustain a handyman business, then I would definitely not do it. You also want to figure out what your pricing is and things like that. But those are kind of things that you can worry about a little bit later. But I want to talk about the transition and how I did it and how I would recommend you to do it. So for me personally, I started doing handyman business on the nights and the weekends. So I had my full-time job, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and then I worked as a handyman on the weekends and the evenings. And this really gives you an idea of, what your area can sustain as far as handyman business. Is there a lot of work there, or is there just a little bit? What can you charge for a handyman job? How much can you make in regards to your actual, day job? These are very important questions that I think that you should ask yourself. But I would definitely start out in the nights and the weekends, because it's not necessarily advised just to do the jump not knowing anything about the handyman business or the industry. So I have quite a bit of videos talking about how to start up a handyman business, how to price handyman jobs, things like that. I'll link that up here. But you definitely want to take a look at that and do some really good market research, as well as get involved with some mentors that will really help you make that decision and see if this is a pliable option. So yeah, I would definitely recommend starting out nights and weekends. And then when you have enough work to sustain you going full-time, I would recommend, when you want to go full-time, have at least one full week of handyman work that that you can do. So when I first went out as a handyman, I really thought, I'm like, okay, January 1st is going to be my first day. I'm just going to hit the ground rolling. I'm going to go to every single house on the block. I'm going to give them business cards, see if they have any work that needs to be done. And then I was actually talking to my mentor, and he's like, that's a horrible idea. Like, you should have at least a week's worth of work scheduled before you go full time. And so I really took him up on that, and I just started advertising like crazy before I went full time, because I knew I was going to go full time about a month before I did it. So I just started advertising like crazy, did a bunch of estimates, and lo and behold, I had a week's worth of work. Once that week was almost done, like Thursday of that week, I was starting to be concerned, because I'm like, I don't really have anything for the next week, so I don't know what's gonna happen. But it ended up working out. Word of mouth was huge at that moment, and then also advertising was very huge as well. Work started flowing in, and I started getting really busy, and soon enough I was booked out for a month, for 2 months, and then 3 months. And then soon after that I brought on my first independent contractor. But so that's kind of the transition I would recommend you to do, is to start out nights and weekends, and then get yourself, one full week scheduled at least a month before you go full time. One huge thing that was for me is I was still kind of trying to walk on eggshells, right? So I remember I came up with this plan. I'm like, okay, I want to work part-time as a handyman and part-time as an auto technician, because that's what I did before this. So I'm like, okay, I'll go to my boss and I'll say, hey, Mr. Boss, can I work part-time as a handyman and part-time as this? And he heard my stuff, and he's like, okay, let me think about this, and that. So we met again, I think 2 days later, and he's like, yeah, Alan, if you're gonna make this jump into full-time self-employment, you need to just do it. Go balls to the wall, jump with both feet in, and don't be scared. And to me, that was something where it was kind of like calling me out on the ledge, right? Being like, hey, if you're gonna do this, let's do it. Like, don't just sit over there and think about it. That was a huge thing for me, because that really took my perspective from a part-time perspective to a full-time perspective. When you completely quit something that is making you money, like a a for sure income every single 2 weeks or every single month. And when you quit that and move to self-employment handyman, like there's a thing that goes on inside of you where it's like, oh man, I gotta make this happen. Like, because if I don't make enough money, my kids aren't gonna eat, or I'm not gonna have a house to live in, right? So it's very motivating to have no other backup, right? Like if you keep thinking in your head, maybe a few months in or a year in, be like, this isn't going too well. I can always go back and work at McDonald's, or I can go change tires at Costco, or whatever. Those thoughts are limiting thoughts. They're going to keep you back from your full potential. The moment you say, forget all those other jobs, I'm going to go full in on this handyman thing, you're going to figure out a way to make it work. And these are the exact ways that you make it work. These videos that I've been talking about in the whole business perspective of how to start up a handyman business, how to price handyman jobs, how to advertise handyman jobs. These are the way that you make things work, is that you sit down, you figure out what needs to be done, and you do it. That is how entrepreneurship works. Entrepreneurship does not sit down and be like, oh, it's not working for me, or my market's not right, or people aren't calling me. I'm just going to quit and I'm going to go back to McDonald's, right? That's not how entrepreneurs work. Entrepreneurs, when they fail, they get back up and they figure out a way to make it even better next time. So very important. So that is how I quit my day job and went full-time handyman business. So I would love to hear your story in the comment section below. Also, I'd love to hear where you're at in your handyman journey. Are you kind of on the sidelines thinking about jumping in? Have you been in it for 5 years? Have you been in it for 10 years? I would love to hear your story. Leave me a comment in the comment section below, and also subscribe to this channel, because without you guys, there's no point in me talking to this camera right now. So subscribe to this channel and hit that little bell icon next to the subscribe button. If you haven't subscribed yet, I will tell you for sure you are missing out on some great content. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I would love to hear in the comment section what you guys learned from this video. Have a great day.